Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. I made a number of videos in the past week or so, roughly week, 10 days, and some of the topics we were discussing, things like what appeared to be, and it was said in various press organs, that the Thailand pass was going to be suspended. It apparently did not did not occur that way. I'm going to get into that in a minute. And I also did we did some analysis as to whether the certificate of entry was going to sort of reemerge. Let's be clear. First, this really is almost semantics in my mind. We had what was called the certificate of entry going back, I guess, what it was, 2.5 months, 3 months ago. Maybe 4 months ago now. That was closed. That ended, and the Thailand pass came about. At about the same time, we started seeing a progressive easing of quarantine requirements associated with entry to Thailand. And in kind of the zeitgeist, if you will, or the sort of collective consciousness, the two sort of got kind of combined together. They kind of got intertwined, inextricably linked in people's thinking, including mine, for that matter. And meanwhile, the certificate of entry was kind of mothballed, although depending on the country you're coming from, you may actually have to deal with the same process. But long story short, I made a video on this where, basically they call it a Thailand pass, but in many ways, the process is very similar, in some ways a little bit more cumbersome under certain circumstances than the certificate of entry. But a big difference has been the online interface, which is very different between Thailand pass and certificate of entry. Reason for this video: apparently, the Thailand pass is not suspended insofar as you're still using that same process. It's kind of, in my mind, again, it's kind of a semantic difference. Whatever you call it, Thailand pass or certificate of entry, you still have this extra thing on top of even the visa process or just the process of getting on a plane, coming to Thailand, and getting a visa exempt stamp. Either of those things, you need a Thailand pass or what was called a certificate of entry in the past. You need either one to get in, and have needed this extra step in order to get in since March of 2020. But long story short, this has caused a little bit of confusion. I wanted to clarify, the Thailand pass process continues. The certificate of entry has not reemerged in its place, but as I've stated in videos in the past, there's not really a ton of difference anyway between a Thailand pass and the certificate of entry.